Chapter 1040, One Soul-Destroying Excavator. Jang E's crazy behavior shocked Li Tianyang. If Jang E led the Soul Sorrow to the Fog Valley, all their plans would be disrupted. Even all the remaining aliens on the island would be killed. This damn guy, is he trying to drag everyone down with him? Li Tianyang was anxious. He quickly rushed back and found Situ Xian as soon as possible and shouted at him with a gloomy face. You must let chaos leave Qingdao immediately, now, immediately. We must not ruin our entire plan because of him. Situ Xian also learned about Jang E's behavior at this time. This didn't even require Jang E to tell him in person. Because the noise of the soul sorrow chasing him was too loud, the whole island was full of powerful energy reactions, and any alien on the island could feel the terrifying pressure. But Situ Xian was indifferent to Li Tianyang's words. He believed that Jang E must have a reason for doing this. Moreover, since when did the East China Sea region have the power to dictate what they did in the Jiangnan region? Minister Li, believe in our people. Situ Xian just gave Li Tianyang a cold look that did not allow any arguments, and let him experience it himself. Are you kidding? If you let our people be a stepping stone for you, you also need to see their strength, right? If your East China Sea region is really strong, I won't say anything. But so far, have you produced any decent results? The so-called 4 spirits, one was killed, one was seriously injured, and the remaining one only killed an ordinary alien. The combined record of the 3 of them is not as good as Jang E. What qualifications do they have now to ask Jang E to help them clean up the battlefield? Li Tianyang stared, stretched out his right index finger, and pointed at Situ Xian. It's time now. You should put the overall situation first. Jang E can't beat the soul of death now. Leading the soul of death away is the best choice. Otherwise, if there is any accident at that time, can your Jiangnan district bear this responsibility? Situ Xian said lightly. I think what you said, Minister Li, makes a lot of sense. We should put the overall situation first. So now, chaos is the overall situation of our Jiangnan district. No matter in terms of strength or combat power, chaos is far better than the 4 spirits of your East China Sea district. I think it's better to let Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird take action to fight for chaos and seize the source of God. What do you think? This sentence made Li Tianyang speechless. Yes. Why do you let others sacrifice for your interests? In the past, you were so powerful that they had no choice. Now, what qualifications do you have to let others do this? Li Tianyang was shaking with anger. If the source of God was not obtained this time, the East China Sea district would definitely suffer heavy losses. He continued to argue with Situ Xian for a few more sentences, but Situ Xian didn't buy his words at all. In this way, Li Tianyang could only watch Jang E and the soul sorrow rampaging on the island. Since you want to pursue excitement, then just follow through to the end. Jang E directly chose to fly high into the sky and came to the area above the poisonous miasma layer. In this way, he can judge the position of the entire star island more clearly. Then he went straight to the Fog Valley. The soul sorrow has no ability to fly, but when he jumps with all his strength, he can actually jump out of a height of several thousand meters. Every jump will cause extremely terrifying scars on the earth. And this kind of aerial jump will naturally have a time to stay in the air, which gives Jang E room to react. Let him fire 2 shots while escaping to test the soul sorrow's defense. As expected, the defense of this monster is terrifying. The holy silver bullet shot on his body, and it was difficult to leave even a trace of scar. It's unlikely to kill him. Although he is a failed test subject, the lowest level Epsilon is still Epsilon. Jang E is not good at attacking, so let alone hurting the soul sorrow. As long as it is alive, it will chase it to the death. Jang E's only way is to drag everyone into the water. Go find Xinglong, go find Billy the boy, and go find all the aliens that can be found on the island. He doesn't care whether the combined power of these people can kill the soul of death. He just thinks that since he has been caught in the rain, he has to tear up other people's umbrellas. The terrifying breath of the soul of death permeates the entire star island. The aliens of the joint forces had received news about Horn early, so they dared not show up. Even Billy the boy was quite afraid of the terrifying thing called the soul of death. Boom! Why not just use this free labor? While eating supernatural food to replenish energy, Jang E began to run around in the foggy valley with the ability of time echo. The soul was unconscious and had no idea what Jang E was doing. He only knew that he had to destroy the insect that kept fleeing in front of him at all costs. Roar! The surging energy cannons spurted out of his mouth, instantly penetrating several kilometers of the ground, and plowed a deep gully of dozens of meters on the ground. Jang Ye's eyes lit up. It works. Seeing that the plan was successful, Jang E increased his efforts and began to lure the soul to wreak havoc in the foggy valley. The excavator of the Ypsilon level is powerful. It can easily destroy a mountain, and a single energy cannon can dig a large pit hundreds of meters deep on the ground. At this speed, it will not take long to find the location of the source of God. No one can imagine that Jang E actually let an Ypsilon-level alien work as a migrant worker for him. This practice is extremely dangerous. Apart from Jang E, no one else dares to use it. Jang E's approach seems very safe, but in fact it is not dangerous at all. As long as one of the Soul Slayer's moves touches him, he can be reduced to ashes. However, after all, it is a monster that only knows how to kill and has no brains. He can't break Jang Ye's time echo and dimensional gate, so he can never kill Jang E. Now, Jang E has grasped his ability and has become Jang Ye's labor. And all this is unknown to everyone in the outside world. Only those aliens near the Fog Valley gradually realized that something was wrong. Why did a turbulent wind stir up in the entire Fog Valley with a radius of dozens of kilometers, and a large amount of dense poisonous gas began to roll back to the periphery? And who is the terrifying Ypsilon-level power fighting against? Jang E took the soul of death and crashed directly into the central area of the Fog Valley. According to Li Zhongyu, the location of the source of God must be within a radius of tens of kilometers. Jang E suddenly had an impulse in his heart. Aren't you the captain of the demolition team, Soul of Death? The terrain of the Fog Valley is huge. Without the help of modern equipment, it is actually difficult to quickly find the source of God buried deep underground. Chapter 1040, The Source of God appears. Outside the Fog Valley, Canero stared at the foggy valley in front of him, feeling very complicated. Chaos. Can he hold out for so long under the attack of the soul losers? Canero asked himself, if the person who appeared here was him, how long could he hold out? The answer he got in the end was definitely no more than a minute. Ypsilon is Ypsilon, and it is definitely not comparable to a delta level inhuman. The gap between inhumans of different levels is like a natural chasm. The ability index of 9,999 and 10,000 points seems to be only 1 point different, but in fact the gap in strength is unimaginable. There is no way, after all, it is absolute defense. Yassine Canero shrugged, and he was more open-minded in his heart. Every inhuman has his own specialty. He can't match Jang Ye's defense and escapability, and similarly, Jang E definitely doesn't have his sharp attack. Canero whistled. I hope the soul sorrow can kill you. In this way, the monster has completed its final mission. In another place, Qinglong was wearing a green tactical backpack and carefully hiding behind a tree. Li Tianyang's instructions came from the communication device. Qinglong had no expression on his face, but his stern eyes reflected the seriousness of the situation. I know, I will adapt to the situation, he said lightly. In other directions, monsters hiding in the shadows were also slowly emerging. Hellsister wore a heavy gas mask and hid in the depths of the thick poisonous miasma. The stronger the toxin, the stronger his strength will become. But wanting to join the battle and join the fight for the source of God is still a huge test for him. As things have come to this point today, everyone knows that this battle is about to come to an end. As long as Jang E is killed by the soul sorrow, the others will lose their reason to hide and will start the final hunt and decide the final ownership of the source of God. The inferior overcomes the superior. In the depths of the dense forest, A witch with red lips and white teeth whispered softly. She knelt cross-legged on the cold snow, with a huge warrior holding 2 swords behind her, guarding her majestically. No one knew what happened in the Fog Valley. At first, they thought that Jang E would be killed by the soul death if he could only hold on for 10 minutes at most. But unexpectedly, the soul death's terrible attack lasted for half an hour and still did not end. They all admired Jang E's strength. With Delta's level, it was unimaginable that he could hold on for so long even against the weakest Epsilon. It should be over. Chaos will die, and Soul Death will end his last mission. General Horn whispered softly. But unexpectedly, Soul Death's attack did not stop, but became more and more violent. In this way, another half an hour passed. In the Fog Valley, everywhere was like a field plowed by a mad bull, full of holes. The earth was broken, and there were deep pits everywhere. Everyone was shocked. An hour passed, and Chaos was not dead. Another hour passed, and Chaos was not dead. They couldn't imagine how strong a person's defense could be to delay an Epsilon for so long. They couldn't imagine that. Soul Sorrow was fighting so hard, but in fact, he was using all his strength on the land and mountains of Fog Valley. Just when everyone was shocked, a strange phenomenon suddenly occurred. A bright yellow beam of light suddenly shot up into the sky, breaking through the clouds and rising tens of thousands of meters into the sky. The thick yellow beam of light was tens of meters thick, like a magic needle that stabilized the sea, and suddenly appeared in Fog Valley. Along with it, there was also a strong pressure of Epsilon level. Everyone stared at the beam with wide eyes, and the excitement in their eyes was beyond words. Is this the source of God? The detection instruments on Qinglong, Billy Boy, and others responded frantically. Energy signal fluctuations have been detected and matched, and it is the same as the source of God. This time, there was no suspense. After Soul Sorrow's round of destruction, the source of God buried deep under the earth was actually dug out. At the command center of the 2 armies, General Horn and Li Tianyang excitedly issued orders. The source of God, sacred essence, has appeared. Quick, take it down and never give it to the other side. Xuanwu and Katie Less on the sea couldn't help but look over there. Seeing the yellow beam rising into the sky, there were some strange fluctuations in their eyes. However, they were the 2 sides confronting each other here, and no one dared to act rashly. Now is the war time. If any Epsilon leaves the rear, then all the people in the rear will be killed by the other side's Epsilon. Qinglong and Billy Boy were ready to move. But at the same time, they were afraid of the existence of the soul snatching. This guy is a crazy monster, and no one wants to face him. At this moment, a voice amplified by a high-power loudspeaker suddenly came from the Fog Valley. Ha ha ha! I found the source of God. Good stuff, really good stuff. I didn't expect that I would find it in this way in the end. It's mine. That was Jang E's voice. After hearing this voice, everyone couldn't sit still. They were not stupid, and they knew that Jang E did it on purpose. But facing the temptation of the source of God, rationality? How can you make them rational? Billy lowered his felt hat. He knew that he couldn't wait any longer. If he waited any longer, the source of God would really fall into Jang E's hands, and maybe the situation of the entire battlefield would be reversed. He went straight to the Fog Valley. Qinglong hesitated again, and in the communication equipment, Li Tianyang's voice was close to madness. Absolutely can't let chaos get the source of God. Qinglong, you must snatch the source of God. That's our East China Sea region. Li Tianyang was really scared at this time. He targeted Jang E many times, and even let Jang E become a discarded child to face the soul of death. If Jang E really became Epsilon, would he still have a good ending? Qinglong frowned. He always felt that things were not that simple. If he ended rashly, there would be big problems. But Li Tianyang was the highest commander of the operation, and he had to obey Li Tianyang's orders. Yes, I will enter the Mist Valley right away. Qinglong's eyes were firm, and he took firm steps. He disappeared from the spot like a gust of wind and headed straight for the Mist Valley. Another area on the edge of the Mist Valley. Tsukuyami slowly opened her eyes, and she saw the beautiful beam of light. What a beautiful and powerful thing. This thick shape is really irresistible. I want to get it too. Kagutsuchi, not far away, looked at her fanatically. Our chance has come, hasn't it? After lurking for so long, everyone thought we were just minions of the Columbia Navy. I think it's time to remind everyone that my country of the rising sun was once a powerful country standing at the top of the world. Chapter 1043, Destroying the Source of God. In the foggy valley, Jang E had no chance to rest. The soul-destroying was a killing machine that never knew fatigue and had been chasing him madly. However, when the huge yellow beam of light shot up into the sky, he also paused for a short time. The game is almost over. I don't have so much time to play with you slowly. Jang E looked at the soul-destroying with cold eyes, and his figure slowly became illusory in the air. Then, he completely disappeared between the world. 1 minute. Jang E had 1 minute to hide in the alien space. During this minute, he was absolutely invincible, and even Ypsilon could not threaten his life. If it were a normal alien with normal IQ, he would clearly know that Jang E could not hide forever. But the soul-destroying had no brain. He only knew that his prey was gone. But the instinct to kill still existed. Roar! Anger made him roar to the sky, and with red eyes, he urgently needed to release his desire to kill. At this moment, someone was attracted by the yellow beam of light and came to the foggy valley carefully. The yellow beam that shot straight up into the sky looked so magnificent and spectacular that the eyes of everyone who appeared here became hot. The first person to appear in the foggy valley was Billy the Kid, Yasin Kanero. The soul of death became angry because he had lost his target, and he turned around and saw Kanero. The killing intent filled his pupils again. He roared at Kanero with a wildness. But Kanero did not look afraid at all. He just sighed lightly. Alas, aliens have no brains, and they can only be minions forever. While speaking, he sent a signal to the soul of death through his combat suit. The soul of death, who was about to pounce and kill Kanero, suddenly stopped where he was. A human look slowly emerged in his eyes. Am I not dead? Seeing that the soul of death had regained his rationality, Kanero said calmly, No, you are about to die. So before you die, you need to do your last bit for the Columbia Navy. Don't worry, we will take good care of your mother, wife, and daughter. The Colombian Navy dared to launch the soul of death, and it was not without preparation. After recovering him, electrodes were implanted in his brain to control him. However, this kind of recovery of consciousness can only last for about 5 minutes. The information Kanero received was to make good use of these 5 minutes. Chaos, you are very smart. You turn your troubles into everyone's troubles. But unfortunately, I have been waiting for you to fall into the trap. Billy smiled, then raised the 2 revolvers in his hands, and his sharp eyes observed the surroundings like a hawk. This ability to hide in the void seems to last only 1 minute. But after 1 minute, what are you going to do to escape our joint attack? Now for Jang E, the situation is unimaginably serious. The soul of death who has regained consciousness is not an enemy of the same level as the monster that only had killing intent before. What's more, there is a super gunman Kanero with a superpower index of 9,999 points aiming at him. Although Jang E is in the alien space, he can also observe the situation outside through other doors and use the time difference between the inside and the outside to think of a battle plan. The sudden recovery of Soul of Death did not surprise him. If he goes out now, he must face the attacks of both Soul of Death and Billy Boy at the same time. Such a situation is not to be underestimated. But since Jang E dared to come, he was ready to face all dangers. I think your most important target should no longer be me now. Jang E could clearly find that whether it was Soul of Death or Billy Boy, their attention was more or less attracted by the huge yellow light column that shot from the deep underground to the sky. The source of God. The attraction of this thing to aliens is unimaginable. Jang E made a prompt decision and aimed the door at the underground where the light source was. The next moment, A black dimensional gate appeared in the air, and then an infinite void power emerged. Jang E held the holy judgment and slashed fiercely towards the depths of the earth. Kinero did not hesitate and immediately pulled the trigger to shoot at Jang E. However, his powerful attack did not even cause a single splash after falling into Jang Yi's two-world severance. Seeing the scene, Kinero's pupils shrank slightly. Is this the spatial power of absolute defense? Sure enough, it's still a little tricky for me. But he didn't care about this, because the soul of death was right next to him. The soul of death had already opened its mouth and fired a terrifying energy cannon. However, Jang Yi's goal was not to fight them, but to go underground. He split the earth with a knife and dived headfirst. Go! The broken ground revealed a huge deep pit, which was extremely dark and bottomless. This was a huge abyss, with only a thick yellow beam of light piercing the sky from it. No, his goal is the holy essence. Kill him. Without saying a word, Kinero took a swift run and jumped into the cave. Sang-hun also rushed into the abyss, one step ahead of Kinero without hesitation. If the source of God was obtained by Jang E, the situation on the battlefield would most likely turn around. But for Sang-hun and Kinero, this possibility did not exist. No one could take anything away in front of an Epsilon and a super Delta-level alien. And just as Sang-hun was chasing Jang E's voice came to his ears. Because he was afraid that he couldn't understand, he translated it into English. Sang-hun, if you can get the source of God, maybe you can get rid of that weird state. This sentence made a strange fluctuation appear in Sang-hun's eyes. As a failed test subject, death is the inevitable outcome. But if there is any chance to stay alive, he will certainly try his best to fight for it. Jang Yi's words gave him an idea. But this did not stop him from chasing Jang E. Kill you, and I can still get the source of God. Sorrowful Soul and Billy the Kid both chased Jang E headfirst in free fall. But no matter how fast the acceleration of gravity is, it can't be faster than space travel. Jang E showed an evil smile at the corner of his mouth. If you continue to chase me, then I can only destroy the source of God, he shouted at the two of them. Chapter 1044 Weak Water Glazed Dragon God. Jang Yi's shouting finally made Sang-hun and Billy the Kid hesitate. With Jang Yi's strength, it is not impossible to destroy the source of God. If that happens, there will be no winner in this tragic war. Billy the Kid suddenly opened his mouth and shouted against the wind. Chaos. Surrender. As long as you surrender, I can allow you to join the Hell Chain. Everything you can get in the Jiangnan region, our Columbia Navy will double it for you. Jang E raised his eyebrows. Oh, you are so kind? To be honest, I don't really believe you. The abyss is bottomless. After flying thousands of meters, the source of God's beam is still not seen. Billy the Kid was still patiently explaining. We Colombian Navy keep our word, unlike you guys. Jang E suddenly smiled and said, the reason why I haven't become Epsilon yet is because I don't want to bow down to the powerful. I don't want to be a dog for anyone. It's easy to lose my life. You members of Chains of Hell, you don't have freedom. After Jang E finished speaking, he suddenly turned around in the air and faced Sang-hun and Billy the Kid. Then, his right hand of the holy judge burned with surging flames of the void. Sang-hun and Billy the Kid's eyes widened, as if they realized what Jang E was going to do. The two hurriedly said angrily, stop. Unfortunately, it was too late. Jang E slashed fiercely behind him with a knife, and the surging void power burst out and rushed straight to the light source of the source of God underground. Boom! In this limited space, the existence of black covered everything, and the yellow light source was completely extinguished after a short moment. The source of God has been destroyed by Jang E. Billy's expression instantly became ferocious. His greatest hope of being promoted to Epsilon was destroyed by Jang E's knife. Without the source of God, he would have to practice step by step for at least 2 more years to be promoted to Epsilon. Damn it! Billy took out the gold and silver revolvers with both hands, and the power of Sunset Yellow Sand and Fate's Sigh was directly opened to the maximum. His gun was too fast. But no matter how fast a person is, How can he be faster than the echo of time? Jang E had to admit that Billy was very strong, so strong that he could shoot faster than Jang E summoned the two worlds. But Jang E had already predicted his action before he shot. Jang E flashed and disappeared directly on the spot. Billy's terrible attack reverberated under the earth and shot into the bottomless abyss. The soul-destroying quickly came to the place where Jang E disappeared. Turning his head, an amazing scene appeared. There was a huge passage on the wall of the abyss cave, which was nearly 10,000 meters deep. The eyes of the soul sorrow emitted a red light, illuminating the passage. It was connected in all directions, and there were countless dense caves. After Billy the Kid came here, he directly inserted a pistol into the wall, and his body was incredibly stable. He could still feel the breath of the source of God remaining in the air. This made Billy the Kid even more angry.
He was very sure that the source of God was destroyed by Jang E.
Damn it, damn it, damn it. Kill him. Without him saying anything more, the soul sorrow had already chased in the direction where Jang E's breath disappeared. Due to the complexity of the underground environment, the difficulty of chasing became greater. This is 10,000 meters underground, the air has become thin, and the soil is extremely compacted. Jang E can use the oxygen stored in the alien space to maintain the normal state of physical energy. But the soul sorrow and Billy the Kid do not have such superior conditions as him. The soul sorrow directly broke through the soil and chased Jang E in the most brutal way. But Billy had no way to keep up. As a last resort, he had to turn on the flight mode of his combat suit and began to fly into the sky. Don't think that this little cleverness can deal with the soul. You don't understand how terrible the soul that has complete self-awareness is, Billy thought to himself. He flew into the sky and waited for Jang E to appear on the ground. Now, the breath of the source of God has disappeared, and their mission has lost its direction. So Billy's eyes are left with only one goal, to kill chaos. But just as he was about to reach the ground, a powerful energy wave suddenly erupted behind him. The breath of the source of God appeared again. The yellow light column that soared into the sky seemed to be more blazing than the last time. Billy turned his head in surprise. He could feel the familiar breath, the breath of the source of God. This is the sacred source has not been destroyed. It still exists. He looked excitedly. I said, how could such a great thing be destroyed so easily? This moment of excitement made Billy's mind unstable. The great joy of regaining what he had lost overwhelmed his emotions. At this moment, a beam of orange-yellow light came from the far distance through the void and shot at his back. At the critical moment, Billy finally realized the crisis. The strange snake with its head and tail connected in his eyes appeared again. Reset. He didn't have time to turn around, but his hands instinctively did not leave his revolver. His hands naturally turned the muzzle of the revolver and pointed it at the back. Bang! 12 bullets condensed into a blazing beam of light and collided with the orange beam of light. The violent explosion directly threw Billy's body away. This was Billy's own choice to relieve this huge force. After flying hundreds of meters, he slowly rolled in the air several times and landed steadily. He raised his head and finally saw clearly what attacked him. It was a huge and beautiful monster. It had a huge body of nearly 300 meters high, 6 long arms, a slender neck and tail. The whole body did not look like any creature in the world. It looked like a huge orange-yellow porcelain, crystal clear, emitting an elegant and gorgeous light. The orange body was faintly shiny, and the curves were perfect, like a work of art. On the orange trunk, there were closely connected black lines, covering its entire body, like the lines on leaves. Its head was small, as if it was just an extension of its neck, without facial features. But it looked so mysterious and awe-inspiring, like a god born from the world. Qinglong. Billy Boy read out a name coldly. The monster that appeared here was none other than Qinglong, one of the 4 spirits in the East China Sea region. An orc-type ability user, a divine beast species. Ability code name, Weak Water Glazed Dragon God. Chapter 1045. Taking the Box. Due to the strange magnetic field of the Fog Valley, Qinglong didn't know what happened to Jang E, Billy the Kid, and the Soul Sorrow. But he clearly understood one thing. Jang E was alive and could help him delay an opponent. Once Jang E got into trouble, he would completely lose the chance to compete for the Source of God. So he had to take action. The moment Billy the Kid emerged from the crypt was the best moment for him to ambush for a long time. This attack gave him a slight advantage. Qinglong let out a sharp cry. The sound was like a wail, as sharp and loud as a baby. 10,000 colored glazes. A moment later, thousands of beams of light burst out from his elegant and huge body, heading straight for Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid's eyes were cold. He quickly dodged sideways, seemingly slowly, but in fact he cleverly dodged every attack from Qinglong's thousands of attacks. Then he finished reloading the bullets, turned around and shot 6 bullets in an instant. His attack was fleeting, and with Qinglong's huge body, there was no need to dodge at all. But when the bullets approached his body, the body that looked slender and round like glass suddenly burst into a slippery light. It seemed that the space around the dragon god's body was distorted. The moment the bullets touched the light, it was like a knife cutting on the skin and flesh coated with thick pork, sliding to another place. This is not a space-based ability. It is one of the abilities of the weak water glazed dragon god, weak water glazed. His surface has a special power that can distort physical attacks close to himself. Qinglong and Billy Boy, this is not the first time they have fought. On the East China Sea, the two have fought at least 3 times, but each time they stopped at a certain point and did not fight to the death. Although it is true that Billy Boy has the upper hand in most of the fights between the two, but Qinglong's ability also prevented him from suffering any major losses. If the two really risked their lives, the result is really hard to say. Billy Boy was also afraid at this time. If he killed Qinglong but was seriously injured, he might be picked up by others. There must be other aliens on Qingdao, but they have not appeared yet. Everyone wants to wait for others to fight to the death, and then be the one who takes the initiative. No one is a fool. It is better to wait for Senghun to deal with Jang E first, and then deal with Qinglong in front of them together. Qinglong and Billy Boy are tacitly aware of each other. Based on their understanding of each other, unless they all fight to the death, it is difficult to tell the result in a short time. But no one is willing to stop, and they are all testing and attacking each other with reservations. However, there are unexpected guests on the battlefield. When the two were fighting fiercely, 2 people walked in from outside the Fog Valley. Qinglong and Billy Boy maintained a great tacit understanding and stopped fighting at the same time. When they saw the 2 people clearly, Qinglong and Billy Boy were full of surprise. Because the aliens coming were from Japan, Tsukuyomi and Kagutsuchi. Billy Boy narrowed his eyes and stared at them. Why are you here? He didn't expect that these 2 people would come. Because in his eyes, these Japanese aliens are just mid-level aliens. Even Amaterasu, who is known as the best master in Japan, has an ability index of only 9,500 points. And Tsukuyomi, Yakiankari, and Kagutsuchi, Tenji, are both aliens with an ability index of 9,500 points. If they were placed in the early stages of the war, they could still play a role on the island. But now, which one of them who appeared in the core area of Mist Valley is not close to Ypsilon? Their strength is not enough. Qinglong's huge body silently adjusted its direction, from facing Billy the Kid to facing Billy the Kid and the Japanese aliens at the same time. The 3 parties formed a 3-legged state. Yakiankari did not answer Kanero's words. She just stared at the yellow beam that soared into the sky with a face full of intoxication like a nymphomaniac. I finally waited for it. Is this the sacred essence? It is so beautiful that I can't help myself. Kanero had already realized something was wrong at this time. He had never completely trusted these Japanese guys in his heart. Because, in the education they received since childhood, the Japanese are a race that has humility engraved on their faces, but has betrayal or the spirit of overcoming the superior with the inferior engraved in their bones. Are you here to assist me? Kanero narrowed his eyes and said coldly again. Assist? No, I always think that we are just cooperating. Ye Qianshou shook his head indifferently. Tiandao Tianshi beside her had an evil smile on his face, like a villain who succeeded in his evil plan. Now our cooperation has achieved the best result, that is, finding the source of God. We are competitors again. Who can get the source of God depends on their own abilities. Qinglong remained silent. He didn't know that the joint forces had arrived at what happened in the end. In short, as long as there is a split in the other party, it is great news for him. And everything that happened here cannot be transmitted to the outside due to the interference of the magnetic field, and the people in the two command centers don't know what happened. So, here there are no rules, you can do whatever you want. The aliens of Neon simply took off their disguises. Canero noticed something wrong. He looked at Ye Qianshou coldly, and the smile on his mouth was full of teasing. Do you have the strength to compete with me for this sacred source? Ye Qianshou suddenly covered his mouth and laughed, and the laughter was wanton and arrogant. Ha ha ha, Mr. Canero, you will soon know whether you have the strength or not.
As
soon as she finished speaking, her expression became evil and cold like a ghost. Tiandao Tianshi took a half-step back, looking at Ye Qianshou with a cautious look and a hint of fear. Ye Qianshou's hands stretched out from the wide sleeves of the witch's robe that no one had ever seen. The pale little hands tightly held a box the size of a birdcage. I was born in a small village called Qianya Village, where there is a witchcraft that has been passed down since ancient times. This is a witchcraft that the villagers used to protect themselves during the war years. It is called the Zika box. The method of making it is to kill a pregnant woman who is 7 months pregnant, then cut out the fetus in her belly, place it in the box, and then bless it with a prayer. And the more sacrifices are used, the stronger the power of the Zika box will be. She murmured creepy words. As she slowly opened the seal on the Zika box, a thick black smoke that made people feel sick quickly rushed out of the box, and then all sank into the huge ghost behind her. And this Zika box I have was obtained by sacrificing 10,000 sacrifices, the supreme ghost god Ziku. Chapter 1046, 3 Ypsilons. Ye Qianshou opened the box sealed by layers of black bloodstained spells, and the black air in the sky came out from the cracks of the box. From a long distance, Canero and Qinglong heard the extremely shrill wailing. It was the resentment of the 10,000 women who were killed by caesarean section and the resentful spirits of their fetuses. All these resentments were absorbed by the ghost son behind Ye Qianshou. His body was also growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Black lightning wrapped around his body, and the evil spirit lingered on his black and red samurai armor as if it was vented from the underworld. His appearance became more hideous, and the 2 ghost blades in his hands were also stained with a layer of terrible evil spirit. After a moment, he turned into a giant ghost god hundreds of meters tall with an evil spirit. Ye Qianshou's body slowly rose and then merged into his body. The source of God, we in Japan also want to share. The body of the ghost god exuded a trembling and disgusting power, and even Canero and Qinglong had extremely serious expressions. Because from him, both of them felt the power of Ypsilon level. The Japanese are really vicious. They have been hiding for so long, Qinglong whispered. Canero's heart gradually sank. Now there is another strong competitor. Boom! A deafening roar came from under the earth, and a stream of light rose from under the earth. It was Jang E's figure. Immediately afterwards, the earth cracked open, and the energy cannon of the soul sorrowing pierced through the sky and passed by Jang E not far away. He soared into the sky like a cannonball and then fell heavily in the fog valley. The sudden change in front of them made Jang E and Soul Sorrowing temporarily stop chasing. Looking at Qinglong and Guishan Ziku, feeling the Ypsilon-level power of Guishan, Jang E couldn't help but raise his eyebrows again and again. Well, at this time, all the monsters have emerged, right? Subconsciously, his eyes glanced at the beam of light under the abyss. You all came for the source of God. I guess I'm right? Jang E's words were to remind them that the source of God was the most important. This was also to remind the soul-slaying. Now, the enemy that Columbia needs to face most is not him, Jang E, but the Japanese. From the mouth of the ghost, the cold voice of Yaqianshou came. We are allies with Colombia. So, let's clear the field first. They are not stupid, they will not fight each other and let Jang E and Xinglong pick up the leaks. Even if they want to fight for the source of God, they must first exclude the weak from the battlefield. Zhang Yi's eyes suddenly condensed. You want to kill me? Can you kill me? At this time, Xinglong couldn't sit still. Compared to chaos, I am not good at running. But whoever wants to treat me as an ant is thinking too much. On the head of the weak water-glazed dragon god, a vertical pupil slowly opened. The black stripes on its body lit up with golden light, and a powerful momentum suddenly burst out from the dragon god. Another Epsilon-level power. After the end of the world, all forces are frantically engaged in an arms race. The most important thing is the experimental research of top-level aliens, especially Epsilon-level aliens. Colombia has achieved good results in this regard. The East China Sea region has also not stopped. And Xinglong, he's one of the test subjects of the East China Sea region. It's just a pity that he, like the Soul Sorrow, is a failed test subject. The Soul Sorrow obtained the power of the Epsilon level, but lost his brain and became a monster. But Xinglong completely cut off his own ascending path, overdrawn all his potential, and ended at the Delta level. But the impact of that human experiment gave him a secret Killer the Epsilon experience card. Every time he uses it, he will lose his lifespan, but at the same time, he can have the power of the Epsilon threshold. He is the biggest killer of the East China Sea region in this operation. Jang E and Canero's faces are a little strange. Originally thought, they are the most powerful existence on this island and the most powerful seed players in the competition for the source of God. But who could have thought that at the last moment, 3 Epsilon-class beings would appear at the same time? The powerful force turned into a storm, directly dispersing the poisonous miasma within a radius of dozens of kilometers. Even due to the excessive energy reaction, the command centers of both armies were shocked. 3 Epsilon-level forces appeared at the same time in the central area of Fog Valley. What? 3? General Horn, Li Tianyang, and Situ Xian were all stunned. They thought about it carefully and knew that one of the forces came from their side. The other force came from the other side. But which force did the third force come from? The magnetic field of Fog Valley interfered with the detection. They could only guess and could not figure out what happened there. No one dared to go over for reconnaissance. United, on the troop side, the Neon representative looked at General Horn and others with a gloomy look. I thought we were hiding deep enough, but I didn't expect that the people of Colombia and Huaxi were also prepared. I just hope that the Crow Palace can successfully seize the source of God and enhance the prestige of our great Neon. The 2 powerful Epsilons guarding the outer sea, Cartiers and Xuanwu, were attracted by these 3 forces. Oh, interesting, really interesting. Xuanwu's eyes showed a hint of interest, but he did not stop playing the game in his hand. It's just 3 Epsilons who have just stepped into the 10,000-point threshold. Whether for him or Cartiers, this level is really nothing. Cartiers sat on the main gun of the battleship, with a playful and contemptuous smile on his lips. You have to pay a huge price to get the power you don't deserve. But there is no other way. He stretched his body lazily. People without talent try to seize the will of heaven and change their own destiny. But even if they try their best, they can't compare with people like me who are chosen by heaven. He smiled, but his eyes had a strange sharpness in his frivolousness. In the center of the Fog Valley, 3 amazing forces confronted each other. Originally, the biggest contradiction was still concentrated on Jang E, but now it was completely transferred. The expression of the soul sorrowing also became extremely solemn. He turned his head and looked at Jang E coldly. The dimensional door behind Jang E was wide open. As long as he wanted, he could enter and hide in it at any time. Now you should not care about me, right? Even if you kill me, if the source of God falls into the hands of others, then your action will lose its meaning. He raised his hands and said with a smile, "This time, I quit." Chapter 1047, 3 Heroes Fighting for the Death. Zhang E took a step back. The next moment, he suddenly appeared above the abyss and flew down. Originally, everyone was still in a standoff, not knowing what to do. But Jang E made a choice for them. No one didn't want to get the source of God. Even the Soul Slayer was eager to get it in his heart. After all, it was the most mysterious existence in the world. Once he got it, it would be possible for him to survive. He had less than a day to live. If possible, he didn't want to die. He also wanted to be a hero of the Navy like Cartier's, enjoying the most worshipped treatment and the admiration of thousands of people. He wanted to see his wife and daughter alive. The Soul Slayer opened his mouth and shot out an energy cannon. The ghost god took out a large knife several hundred meters long and fell down, instantly shattering the earth. The black, evil spirit went straight to Jang E. Qinglong hesitated slightly and did not choose to attack Jang E. The two Ypsilons attacked together, but did not hit Jang E. Because Jang E was just a feint, he had no real intention of entering the abyss to seize the source of God. So the moment he appeared, he disappeared into the void, dodging the two's powerful attack. But his fake shot also completely broke the pattern of the scene. The soul clenched his fists, raised his head and roared to the sky, which could shatter the eardrums of people. Purple electric currents entangled him. The corpse-like body began to grow rapidly, and solid armor appeared on the surface. A moment later, he turned into a giant in white armor more than 10 meters tall. Then the soul jumped and rushed into the abyss first. Seeing this, Qinglong and Guotian were unwilling to let the other party get ahead, and they all rushed in with roars. The huge abyss, with 3 huge Ypsilons swooping down, was surprisingly spacious. The 3 people had the same goal, but there was only one person who could get the source of God, so a fierce fight quickly broke out. There was another more important reason the 3 of them didn't have much time. They were fake Ypsilons who had temporarily gained power through special methods, and their power could collapse at any time. Especially the soul-destroying, who had less than 2 minutes left to wake up. If he could not finish the battle within 2 minutes, he would completely become a walking corpse that only knew how to kill until he died. Everyone was in a hurry, so there was no trial before they attacked, and they all rushed to kill others. Boom! 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 A shocking roar came from the abyss, which was the energy erupted from the fight between the top aliens, causing the abyss to begin to crack and the entrance to expand. The ground under Canero's feet was shattered like a spider web. He retreated quickly to ensure that the place where he stood was safe and suitable for fighting. The 3 Ypsilons rushed into the underground to compete for the source of God. There were still 3 people on the landmark: Jang E, Canero, and Neon's Kagutsuchi, Tiandao Tiancher. Kagutsuchi's face was full of black lines. Among the aliens still alive at this time, he was the weakest. Originally, I thought that I could rely on Geshenzi to get this trump card and show off with Yuqianshou. But I didn't expect that the other 2 forces also had powerful trump cards. He swallowed his saliva and slowly said, "I think this battle has nothing to do with us. There is no need for the 3 of us to continue fighting." Jang E and Canero looked at each other. Then at the same time, the holy judgment in Jang E's hand slashed out, and the net of heaven and earth completely trapped Tiandao Tiancher. And Canero's golden revolver also shot out a rose-colored beam of light. In an instant, Tiandao Tiancher's body was cut into pieces. This powerful alien from Neon was killed instantly by the joint attack of the 2 top aliens of the Delta level. After dealing with the extra people, Canero looked at Jang E. "Now, there are only 2 of us left. Do you still want to fight?" Jang E smiled faintly. "What's there to fight about? It seems that this place has nothing to do with us now. Don't you think so?" Canero smiled and nodded. "I think so too. I didn't expect that in the end, we would be the ones who joined in the fun. It is important to stay alive. They are all aliens with the talent of Ypsilon. As long as they survive, they will be promoted sooner or later. Unlike the 3 in the abyss, they are all fighting for a future with their lives." "Then why don't you leave?" Jang E asked. Canero looked at Jang E. "You didn't leave either." Jang E touched his nose. "I'm waiting for someone." Canero: "Me too?" The 2 of them understood each other tacitly. Although the three people below are all Epsilon, how long can their status last? When they fight each other and the fight becomes white-hot, someone will always be needed to end it. Both Jang E and Canero are the best candidates. Moreover, they have not completely given up on the source of God. Jang E said to Canero calmly, "Sometimes, being too fond of joining in the fun is not a good thing. If you leave too late, you really can't leave." Canero narrowed his eyes. "Thank you for your reminder." A solemn look flashed across his eyes. Because the two of them seemed to be communicating peacefully. In fact, he had never given up and was looking for Jang E's weaknesses. But unfortunately, Jang E's two-world absolute not has a defense capability without dead ends. Canero had no chance to sneak attack Jang E. Unless he adjusted his output to the maximum power and forcibly broke through Jang E's barrier. But doing so was too dangerous. If he failed, it would be equivalent to exposing his trump card. Jang E waited in the fog valley without haste. "There should be a result in 2 minutes at most," he said calmly. Canero nodded in agreement with this sentence. It's a pity that Canero thought he understood what Jang E meant by this sentence, but in fact, he didn't understand anything at all. However, there is one thing that Canero is very clear about. The longer Jang E stays here, the more dangerous it will be. The toxins around the fog valley seem to be more dense, and the dark green poisonous miasma makes people feel suffocated. Even if you are wearing combat uniforms, you must inject or take antitoxins orally to stay here for a long time. Jang E is an exception. With the two-world severance, he is not worried about being corroded by toxins. In the abyss, the angry roar is as terrifying as the volley of artillery corps. The powerful force makes the entire abyss begin to collapse rapidly, revealing a larger space. It is unknown where this crypt leads to. It is so huge that it is unimaginable. The surroundings quickly cracked like a huge crater. And below is a dark abyss with no end in sight. Weak water-glazed dragon god, lost soul, and ghost god Ziku, three aliens who were briefly promoted to Epsilon, began to fight desperately, all competing for the only chance to transcend. The weak water-glazed dragon god is the largest in size, emitting dazzling light all over his body. Each of his 6 arms is hundreds of meters long, and when swung out, they are like giant whips, with the power to split mountains and rocks. Chapter 1048, A Joke. The 2 swords taken by Geshenzi condensed a monstrous resentment. One sword was held against an alien, and he slashed and killed crazily. And the soul-slaying man was even more crazy in the battle. He was already a creature at the critical point of death. He was crazier than anyone else, and his fighting style was even more fierce. He fought with his life. The 3 people restrained each other and kept diving into the abyss, pulling each other. Whoever took a step ahead would be attacked by the 2 people behind him. The murderous aura was boiling. The fighting spirit was high. It was like 3 of the most terrifying beasts fighting to the death together, fighting like trapped beasts. The energy storm that came from the fog valley at all times made the clouds in the sky clear. There appeared a rare blue sky and white clouds after the end of the world. A huge circular hole appeared above the entire fog valley. The 3 monsters killed each other with their dead hands. They roared and bit each other, and in a blink of an eye, they were already covered in blood. Jang E and Canero were very far away from the abyss, and there was a long distance between them. But the ground beneath their feet was still shaking like an 8-magnitude earthquake, and then it shattered. In the end, the area in the middle of the fog valley almost sank, and they had to run to the edge of the fog valley to avoid this terrifying power. The residual power alone has reached such a terrifying level. This is the strength of the Epsilon-level aliens. Moreover, the destructive power of the 3 aliens who barely stepped into the threshold of Epsilon. It is hard to imagine how terrifying it would be if aliens of the level of Catalyze or Xuanwu were to use their full strength. Time seemed to pass by very slowly. In the eyes of the 3-headed monster, the sacred light source was getting closer and closer, and their eyes slowly widened, as if they had already felt the sacred power. At this time, none of them was not covered in blood and scars. But after getting close to the light source, their blood boiled even more. Guation Ziku roared, holding two swords and rushing towards the weak water-glazed dragon god on the side. One sword slashed at his slender neck, and the other sword stabbed at his chest and abdomen. The attention of the Rueshui Liuli dragon god has never been distracted. When he saw Guation Ziku coming, his whole body suddenly burst into an amazing orange light, illuminating the 10,000-meter abyss as bright as day. The power of the weak water glass twisted the blade, but it could not completely deflect the power of the blade. With a puff, crystal-clear blood flowed out. The head of the dragon god also aimed at Guation Ziku, spewing out a thick atomic breath, cracking Guation Ziku's armor. Taking advantage of the moment when the two of them were fighting, the soul of death accelerated and rushed straight to the light source, stretching out his huge palm. Seeing this, the weak water glass dragon god and the ghost god Ziku all roared in anger, and then they aimed at the back of the soul of death at the same time and launched the most violent attack. The soul of death didn't care about this. As long as he could get the source of God, even if he had to fight to be hit by the two, everything was worth it. The moment he approached the light source, his body was also wrapped in a warm current, as if it was warmed by the sun. Is this the source of God? Sang-hun was about to shout out in joy, but suddenly, the joy in his eyes slowly disappeared, and a confused look appeared instead. Why did this source of God look like a huge eye, like something very familiar to him? Boom! The attacks of Guation Ziku and Ruashui Liuli dragon god hit his back. The power of Ruashui Liuli made the blade twist, but it could not completely deflect the power of the blade. With a puff, crystal-clear blood flowed out. The head of the dragon god also aimed at Guation Ziku, spewing out a thick atomic breath, cracking Guation Ziku's armor. Taking advantage of the moment when the two of them were fighting, Sang-hun accelerated and rushed straight to the light source, stretching out his huge palm. Seeing this, Ruashui Liuli dragon god and Guation Ziku all roared in anger, and then they aimed at Sang-hun's back at the same time and launched the most violent attack. Sang-hun didn't care about it. As long as he could get the source of God, even if he had to take a hit from the two, everything was worth it. The moment he approached the light source, his body was also wrapped in a warm current, as if it was warmed by the sun. Is this the source of God? Sang-hun was so happy that he almost shouted out. But suddenly, the joy in his eyes slowly disappeared, and a confused look appeared instead. Why did this source of God look like a huge eye, like something he was very familiar with? Boom! Geshenzi attacked his back with the attack of Ruashui Liuli dragon god. Sang-hun's back was directly torn apart, revealing hideous flesh and even bones. But he gritted his teeth and blocked the attack, and jumped into the light source. Haraha, source of God, you belong to me. He opened his arms and threw himself into the rolling warm current to experience the evolution of the level of life. Weak water-glazed dragon god and ghost god Ziku watched, but it was too late for them to stop it.
Bang!
There was a loud noise. The soul fell in the middle of the source of God. He was stunned for a moment, lowered his head and looked at the thing under him, and there was an unusually familiar feeling. Texture. The dazzling light source made him unable to see anything, but the feeling was extremely familiar. At this moment, as he landed with a bang, the transparent thing under him broke with a crash, sound, pop. The pillar of light that shot up into the sky disappeared again. Under the abyss of more than 10,000 meters, only the orange light emitted by the body of the weak water-glazed dragon god was left. However, because of the disappearance of the light column, the three monsters could clearly see the true appearance below. Where is the source of God? There is only a huge mechanical device that looks like a monster's eye, staring at them. This is a searchlight? Qinglong shouted in a lost voice. Ye Qianshou and Sang-hun also recognized what this thing was. This turned out to be an extremely huge searchlight with a diameter of more than 20 meters. And from beginning to end, the mysterious light source they saw was emitted by it. After a short silence, Sang-hun roared in anger, echoing wildly 10,000 meters underground. The three of them fought for so long and were covered in blood, But in the end they were deceived by a hateful trap? Impossible, this can't be fake. I clearly felt the breath of the source of God. How could it be fake? Sang-hun was furious and smashed the searchlight to pieces with one punch, and then began to destroy the bottom of the abyss frantically, trying to find the hidden source of God. But there were only faint traces of the source of God in the air, so how could the source of God exist? Qinglong was still able to remain rational at this time. Although he was pessimistic and desperate in his heart, he also understood the whole story. Where is the source of God? From the beginning, this was just a trap for us to kill each other. Ye Qianshou's face hidden in the body of the ghost was pale. They paid such a great price and took out the final weapon. But the result is like this? Aren't they all a joke? How do you explain the breath of the source of God? Qinglong smiled bitterly. If someone who has come into contact with the source of God wants to simulate the signal of the source of God through electronic equipment, it is not difficult. As for energy fluctuations, it is even easier to create. The crazy look in Ye Qianshou's eyes gradually twisted, making her hideous like a demon. Ah! She let out a shrill scream. Geshenzi has very large restrictions on the use of this ultimate weapon because it is a curse. Every time she uses it, it will cause great harm to herself. And this time, she fully released the power of tens of thousands of resentful spirits, and I don't know when she can make up for it. At the same time, the rational time of the soul sorrow is about to reach its limit, and his pupils have turned completely red. Under the abyss, it is like a demon cave opened at this time, and the murderous aura rushes up to the sky. Chapter 1049. I had a lot of fun today. Jang E and Canero looked far into the abyss, waiting for the 3 Epsilon-class monsters to fight and come to an end. But Jang E's expression was always calm. He knew that if these 3 people went down, there would be no outcome. Because everything was just a trap he set up to disrupt the battle in the entire Fog Valley. The real source of God is not in this place at all. After a while, a creepy ghost cry came from the bottom of the abyss. Jang E knew that the truth of the matter had been completely exposed, but that didn't matter. His goal had been achieved. As long as he wanted to escape, even the crazy soul sorrow couldn't kill him. The space-based alien, coupled with the initial awakening of the time-based ability, Time Echo, made him the alien with the most worthy life-saving ability. Roar! Soul sorrow soared into the sky, and at this time, he became the monster who only knew how to kill. And he felt the breath of Jang E nearby, so he killed him directly. At the same time, the extremely angry Ye Qianshou also took the ghost godson to soar into the sky. They wanted to find the culprit of this matter. As for who did it, it is conceivable that it could only be the few people who are still alive on the island. Chaos, or Billy the Kid. Even the weak water-glazed dragon god, who was the incarnation of the Azure Dragon, was eager to find them and ask for an explanation. Forcing himself to upgrade to the level of Epsilon was also extremely costly for him. If he was not careful, the injuries in his body would cause a bloody collapse and take his life. Therefore, this time, he must obtain the source of God to prolong his life. Jang E, who knew what was happening below, loosened his arms and planned to leave. He looked at Canero in the distance. Their anger will be left to you alone. I'm going to slip away first. Having said that, he opened the dimensional door and planned to leave. But when the dimensional door appeared, it was very abrupt, and the door shattered. Jang Yi's dimensional door collapsed directly in front of him, silently, without any signs. Jang Yi's pupils shrank suddenly, and he looked at all this in astonishment. How could his most powerful defense fail so silently? What happened? At this moment, Canelo showed a playful smile, raised the silver revolver in his hand, and pointed it at his head. Chaos, you are very powerful. But you don't really think that we will be unprepared for you when we know that you have spatial abilities. A dark green ghost slowly floated out from the depths of the poisonous miasma. He is the only survivor of the hell chains except Canelo, Hershist, Ulrich Hammond. Looking at the masked weirdo who suddenly appeared in front of him, Jang Yi's expression suddenly became serious. Are you Hershist? Hellhorse Hershist, The list of this person has always been in Jang E's mind. Jang E has never encountered this enemy, but he knows that his ability is to use poison. On the poisonous Star Island, this person is extremely dangerous. Hammond's voice came from under the gas mask. Yes, it's me. Chaos. You didn't expect that you would be defeated in this way, did you? He slowly raised his right hand and explained lightly. You have been opening the door to the other dimension on this island to resist the erosion of poison gas. But is there a possibility that this deadly toxin is also a weapon that will destroy your other dimension? Hammond has been here for a long time. He prepared the best toxins, which are his body fluids, which turned into microparticles and merged into the air of the entire fog valley. When these toxins entered Jang E's other dimension, they did not rush to explode, but accumulated continuously. After reaching a certain critical point, they ushered in the most gorgeous explosion. The condensed power can penetrate everything, including the other dimension that Jang E is most proud of. Jang E stared at Hammond blankly, his eyes full of confusion. This ability, even his time echo could not give signs. Because the opponent's layout had started a long time ago, he could not predict such a long-term foreshadowing. The worst thing was that at this time, Senghun, Guishan Ziku, and Ruashue Liuli Dragon God all came out to kill. They pointed their spearheads directly at Jang E. Even Qinglong could not accept being fooled like this. Guishan Zika shouted, "The source of God below is fake. Where did you hide the real source of God?" Canero and Hammond were stunned. Fake. Everyone's eyes were focused on Jang E. The idea became clearer and clearer. The first time the fake source of God was discovered was because Jang E was chased by Senghun and entered the depths of the fog valley, which is when the dazzling beam of light and the breath of the source of God appeared. Therefore, all the illusions were forged by Jang E. He is the culprit. Ruashue Liuli Dragon God couldn't help but say to Jang E, "Chaos, you're kidding me too much." He risked his own life to transform into a dragon god, but in the end, he found himself being fooled. Even his allies could not accept such a result. Soul Sorrow stared at Jang E angrily, and the killing intent in his eyes could no longer be contained. "Damned bastard! Where is the sacred essence? Tell me now. Otherwise, I will make you experience the cruelest death in the world." Soul Sorrow roared. Canero and Hammond quietly moved away, looking like they were watching a good show. At this time, Jang E's spatial ability had been cracked, and he was surrounded by 3 Ypsilon-level fighters. It was hard to imagine what kind of ending was waiting for him. In this world, there was no alien below Ypsilon who could face the siege of 3 Ypsilons at the same time. In everyone's eyes, Jang E had no chance of survival at this time. At this moment, Jang E looked calmly at the terrifying enemies around him. Alas, everyone heard a sigh very clearly. It's time to put an end to this farce. Jang E held his forehead with one hand and slowly closed his eyes. When he opened his eyes again, his eyes became incomparably cold and sharp. An extremely terrifying force, which was so oppressive that it was enough to suffocate people, suddenly burst out from his not-so-tall body and swept across the entire Mist Valley. I had a lot of fun today. The power swept out from the Mist Valley and swept across all directions of Star Island. Cartiers and Xuanwu, who were far away at sea, felt this power and their faces changed. Another Ypsilon. It's more powerful than the 3 auras that appeared before. Chapter 1050. Deceived everyone. Jang E stood in the midst of the 3 Ypsilons, but the power he burst out made the 3 short-lived Ypsilon aliens change their faces. Canero and Hammond, who were watching the fun, felt a chill on their backs. Chaos. He is Ypsilon. How could he be Ypsilon? A huge dimensional door appeared behind Jang E, no longer as transparent as before, but a huge black vortex. His right hand reached into the black vortex and slowly pulled out a black long knife condensed from void matter. Facing the murderous soul looking at him, Jang E chopped down with a simple knife from thousands of meters away. A huge black stream of light gushed out from his blade, rising into the sky like a huge wave, instantly spreading thousands of meters from the earth and directly hit the stunned soul. The soul was caught off guard and quickly used his arms to resist the power. But when the black void force collided with his body, the soul sorrow's resistance seemed so weak that he didn't even block for a second before he was knocked away. The solid white armor on soul sorrow's body shattered with his crack, sound, and blood splattered on his chest. Yiqianshou and Qinglong were stunned. They all knew that soul sorrow's power was not inferior to theirs, but he couldn't even block Jang E's attack. How strong is Jang E now? Canero looked at Jang E from a distance, and there was a trace of blood in his eyes, and even his breathing became much heavier. He couldn't accept this fact. Not long ago, he was being chased by him and Soul Sorrow, and the guy who was staggering like a stray dog suddenly possessed extremely powerful power. The Source of God. You got the Source of God. Canero roared. There is only this possibility. When did you get the Source of God? You've been being hunted down all the time. Even if you got the Source of God, you definitely didn't have time to absorb it. Chaos. Answer me. Canero shouted angrily at Jang E in the air. Unexpectedly, in the end, they failed and instead helped the little-known kid in the Jiangnan district. What else is more unacceptable than watching someone who is originally as good as you suddenly climb over your head? Especially for a conceited genius like Canero. Jang E looked at him and said with a smile, "Yeah? When was it?" He pretended to think and quickly answered, "Oh, I remember. It was probably half a month ago." This sentence made everyone present stunned on the spot, with expressions of inexplicable horror on their faces. Half a month ago. At that time, we hadn't even landed on the island. Hammond muttered in astonishment. Jang E smiled and nodded. Yes, half a month ago. The Source of God was already in my hands. Half a month ago, or when we landed on the island, I was already Epsilon. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? He looked at everyone with a smile. At this time, Jang E enjoyed their shocked and desperate expressions. Yes, it was indeed despair. Jang E, with his own strength, completely played with the two major regions, the Columbia Ocean Fleet and several surrounding countries. They fought desperately for half a month for something that did not exist at all, and each force suffered heavy losses. And Jang E, who obviously had the strength to surpass all the major regions, ran over, disguised as a delta level, and hunted others wantonly. This feeling of humiliation of being played and played with made everyone extremely angry. Chaos. You're such a damn guy. You deserve to die. Yiqianshou covered his head and roared wildly. Guishan Zika burst out with amazing power, holding two knives and slashing at Jang E frantically. The monstrous black demonic energy permeated over the two swords. The two swords intersected, and the majestic power crossed and cut towards Jang E with the might of creating the world, causing a huge storm over the entire Mist Island. Jang E looked at him with a bit of pity in his eyes. I'll let you see the difference between the real Epsilon and the fake Epsilon. Jang E was suspended in the air, and countless doors suddenly appeared beside him. Jang E stood among the thousands of doors. His figure was like a real illusion, as if he was in the middle of illusion and reality at the same time, and it was impossible to capture his real shadow. All things in the world. One door after another blocked the ghost god Ziku. The surging power was swallowed up by the void before it could get close to Jang E. Then from the doors, the terrifying power gushed out. The more fierce the ghost god's attack, the more powerful the rebound force. His moves were completely sent back. All things in the world. 3,000 worlds. In fact, Jang E's new ability was not the mirror world. The 12 doors were just his disguise. Now he had had enough fun. Guishan quickly raised his two swords to block in front of him. The huge impact directly hit him in front of him, knocking Guishan back repeatedly. The fierce impact, the wave formed a long and narrow blank area of more than 10 kilometers behind him, and a mountain behind was directly penetrated. Jang E stretched out his arms, his face full of joy. I've been holding back for so long, and finally I can release my power without restraint. You don't know how long I have endured in order to make you lose, less miserably. I have been resisting the urge to kill you again and again. He opened his eyes with a happy smile on his face. Canero injected himself with Compound X without hesitation. This drug can also allow him to temporarily have the power of Ypsilon. But as Jang E said, the fake Ypsilon is insignificant and useless when facing the real Ypsilon. What's more, the current ghost god Ziku, weak water-glazed dragon god, and sorrowful soul have all experienced fierce fighting, and their combat effectiveness has been greatly reduced. Even with Canero, it is still. Chapter 1051 The Lord of the Ocean Takes Action. General Horn was so angry that he was shaking all over. No matter what the outcome was, he would definitely be dismissed when he returned. A little chaos played them like idiots. Cardiles, take action. Go and kill chaos for me. General Horn ordered Cartiers to take action. After feeling the powerful aura that suddenly appeared in the fog valley and hearing General Horn's words, Cartiers finally chose to take action. The truth was revealed. They all became pawns on Jang E's chessboard and were played by him mercilessly. How could a proud person like Cartiers tolerate Jang E's behavior? He jumped up from the main gun of his ship and rushed straight to Qingdao like a cannonball. Because of the huge force recoil, the ship under his feet sank several meters, splashing water. The joint command of the two regions did not know what happened over there. It was just that the successive Ypsilon-level forces, especially the last more powerful force, made everyone feel terrified. What happened there? Li Tianyang swallowed his saliva wildly. He was originally quite confident about getting the source of God. But now it seems that even if Qinglong breaks through the limit, he dare not say that he can get the source of God steadily. And at this time, they found that Cartiers actually ignored the agreement and rushed directly to Qingdao. Why did Cartiers take action? Is he crazy? Li Tianyang looked at the Columbia Navy Command Center on the radar map with a sinister look. He was hesitating whether to let Xuanwu destroy the fleet directly. But at this time, Xuanwu suddenly took off the headphones on his head, and his spirit body instantly moved to the command platform. It seems that something big happened in the Fog Valley, he said with a stern look. At this time, the intelligence personnel on Li Tianyang's side suddenly sent a prompt. The head of the Joint Force Command Center, General Horn, took the initiative to request a dialogue. Connect, I want to see what they want to do, Li Tianyang said with a gloomy face. After Cartiers took action, the Columbia Navy could not withstand Xuanwu's attack at all. Killing them or not, it all depends on Xuanwu's thought. Li Tianyang seriously suspected that everything that happened on the island was a conspiracy of the Columbia Navy. Soon the video was connected, and General Horn's face appeared in the projection screen in the air. Horn, what do you want to do? Breaking our agreement without authorization, are you really not afraid of death? Li Tianyang slammed the table and rebuked fiercely. Horn's face was also gloomy. You shouldn't ask me this sentence, but ask your good ally. Do you know that you have been fooled by others? He told Li Tianyang and others all the information reported by Canero. After listening to General Horn's words, the conference room of the entire command center was silent. Everyone was stunned by this story, and they even felt that they were listening to the Book of Heaven. The scale of this operation is unprecedented. After the end of the world, there has never been such a large-scale battle of multinational alien teams. They fought for half a month, and many people died. But in the end, you suddenly told them that they were all fooled. What God's source? It was taken away by chaos half a month ago, and he has been there watching the show like a monkey. Who can accept this result? General Horn's voice continued. I have to tell you one more thing. The reason why we came to Qingdao was because we received a piece of intelligence. A piece of intelligence from Huashu country. Li Tianyang's eyes were red with anger, and astonishment made his whole body tremble violently. Now it is clear at a glance. All this is a trap set by Jang E. He played everyone like a monkey. Chaos. Damn chaos. Li Tianyang smashed the table angrily. He couldn't accept that the god's source fell into Jang Yi's hands. The humiliation of being played with made him a complete joke. Moreover, he had treated Jang E like that before. Now Jang E has become Ypsilon, and he, Li Tianyang, must be retaliated. He turned his head viciously and stared at Situ Xian, the representative of the Jiangnan region. Situ Xian was also confused. He felt like he was listening to a foreign book after hearing this. Damn it, you Jiangnan district are so calculating. Li Tianyang's right fist hit Situ Xian's face hard. As a reinforcement-type alien, he punched Situ Xian several meters away. Situ Xian was not an alien, and this punch made him faint. But before he fainted, he was still confused. How did all this turn into Zhang? Chapter 1052. This is the gap between you and me. Li Tianyang made a decision to let Cartiers go after Jang E. He would never let Xuanwu help Jang E. Xuanwu frowned, weighing the pros and cons of this matter in his heart. Zhang Yi's behavior really made him feel too hateful. But if you consider that it was the East China Sea region that first pitted Zhang E, it is understandable. This is Xuanwu's mentality. It's not because he is so fair and just. It's just because Zhang E is now an alien in the realm of Ypsilon and can talk to Xuanwu at the same level. As for the colleagues of the East China Sea region such as Baihu, Baizhe, and Xieji who died in the battle, in Xuanwu's eyes, these people are not qualified to be looked at by him. As long as he, Xuanwu, is still alive, what can those fleet captains do even if they die? He is the absolute core of the East China Sea region.
On Qingdao,
Zhang E was not in a hurry to chase and kill the fleeing Canero and Hammond, because there are still a few guys from Ypsilon who need him to deal with. Sanghun and Guishan Ziku were already covered in wounds from fighting each other, and now they were severely injured by Zhang E. They stared at Zhang E in anger and fear from a distance, but no one dared to act rashly. Moreover, there was a person whose position was unclear. Zhang E looked at Qinglong not far away. Then he smiled and said, "What do you say? Do you want to fight with me?" Qinglong flapped his wing-like arms, was silent for a moment, and then said leisurely, "Now I finally understand why we made such a careful plan and prepared for such a long time. But in the end, we were still discovered by the Columbia Navy. Chaos from the beginning. It was you who passed on the information that there was the source of God on Qingdao, right?" The smile on Zhang Yi's face became even stronger. Not speaking means admitting, and he was not willing to deny anything at this time. Qinglong's tone became angry. "You made everyone in our two regions do a favor. You killed a lot of people." Zhang Yi waved his hand at him impatiently. "Stop, stop, stop. Don't teach me here. What does their life or death have to do with me? What? Do I know you well? During the landing battle, didn't you also want to use the aliens in the Jiangnan region as cannon fodder and stepping stones? Now that you can't afford to lose, you are preaching to me again. Isn't it disgusting? Why didn't you speak so righteously when you took me to the interrogation with shackles and compound number 3? To put it bluntly, whoever is stronger can afford to play." Qinglong wanted to say something else, but the void blade in Zhang Yi's hand was already pointing at his head. "Why, you are not convinced. Do you want to fight me too?" Qinglong fell into silence. "Fight? Go and fight a real Ypsilon? Damn it, he is now Kryptonian. What can he fight with? Ahem, the past is the past, and the present is the present. In fact, I have always been on your side, Chaos. You know, I am not a bad person." "That's good," Zhang E said lightly, with a look of disapproval. "If you are not good at it, practice more, don't be too cheap. The truth of everything is actually very simple. Since Zhang E was forcibly taken away by the East China Sea region and interrogated, his mentality has changed. He understood the simplest truth that in the end times, if you want to live well, it is not enough to be a Buddhist. You must have strength to decide how to live." So, he accepted Yang Xinshin's proposal. That is, he will take back the source of God himself, and then be promoted to Ypsilon. At the beginning, he was injected with compound number 3, and everyone thought that he could only stay in the shelter during that time. Even Zhu Zheng relaxed his vigilance against Zhang E. But they didn't know that Zhou Course ability could purify his negative state, including removing compound number 3 from his blood. The next thing is relatively simple. As a space-related alien, he can do things that many people cannot do, and go to places that many people dare not even think of. So, Jang E took Hua and Lele with him and used their beast instincts to find the source of God during the blink period of that week. As for why he pretended that nothing had happened and continued to cooperate with the plans of the two major districts? The reason is also very simple. He just wanted to find such an opportunity to weaken the three most powerful forces around Tianhai City. Moreover, even after the promotion, he still needs a lot of high-quality origins. And Jang E thought of this and looked into the distance, shouting, Hua. Jang E's shadow was suddenly stretched and became extremely huge, and a huge monster jumped out of the shadow. In the fog valley, a shocking roar suddenly broke out. A huge monster several dozen meters long took off into the air. It was covered with black stripes, with 2 wings on its back and a white king on its forehead. The ferocious fangs exude an awe-inspiring cold light. Roar! This video ends here. Thanks, dear viewers. Appreciate your support. Please subscribe to my channel if not already.